Hey everybody, this is M, and before we get started, I just wanted to let y'all know that this is part two of a two-part episode. So if you missed last week's episode, go back and give it a listen.
Put on your headphones, get ready for a ride. These two crazy guys are gonna blow your mind. You better stop and listen, 'cause it's time for Good Sports Podcast, where everything is gonna be alright. You never have shit to speak on, so now that you do, I'm like, speak it, brother.
We're going to begin with the story of M's no good, very bad, terrible Tuesday, which happened which began on the 18th of August. And
Oh, wow. I'm really just realizing how long it's been since we really caught up, because, like, it is into September.
And you'll notice that I said it began on the 18th of August. For the astute among us, that was a Monday. That was the day that I left. That was my flight was in the evening. So my mom is like, well, I would love to drive you to the airport, but I do not want to drive to the airport. So she called us an Uber. We Ubered to the airport.
Okay. I'm like, did she at least come with you?
Yes, she did come with me. So I make it to the airport, I get through security, no big deal. There's a couple of sussy things in my luggage that I was a little worried about. Like I have a book of matches that I wanted to take with me. I'm going to grab it. I know this is an audio podcast. So...
We're going to have so many visual supplements for this podcast. Oh my god, is that really, like, vintage?
Yeah.
To describe it, it is a white matchbook case with the words Nixon Now in blue and red. I almost said Ronald Nixon.
Richard Nixon.
Richard Nixon.
So I'm a bit of a Nixon guy. I will not elaborate on that further at the moment. Not a supporter, just obsessed with him.
Okay. Well, no, it's kind of like I'm obsessed with Ronald Reagan, but I fucking hate
exactly.
him. I want to, like, bring him back to life so I can kill him again.
If we want to, I could probably do a Nixon episode of the pod.
I would love that. What if we get, like, a Nixon historian expert onto the pod and you can, like, confront them?
We just got to start meeting Nixon historians.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, you're allowed to bring one book of matches on the plane as long as it's on your person. So I was fine.
So random. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. And then I slept pretty poorly the night before I left because I was, about to move to a new country by myself.
Real as hell.
So the flight he was on left Boston around 6 p.m. and
Okay.
arrived to Paris at 6 a.m. Paris time, which is midnight Boston time. So it was a 6-hour flight.
Whoa.
It was a 6-hour flight, in air quotes, overnight.
Okay.
But
it was only, okay, I thought it was longer. Only 6 hours.
It's like 6.5 hours.
The time difference is what is fucked up.
Yes, because you arrive, it feels like midnight.
But it's 6 a.m.
But the sun is rising.
The fuck? That's crazy.
So I'm at the airport, I'm getting ready for my layover, and
you're at Paris de Gaulle.
I'm at Paris de Gaulle. I didn't sleep at all on the plane.
The shithole.
Because there were about 4 babies. And I don't know if you know that.
No.
I don't know if you know this about babies, but if one of them cries, they all cry.
It's like a chain reaction.
No, literally.
Were they like newborn babies? Because I feel like really little babies have like the worst, most piercing cry. And as they get older, it gets slightly better.
I don't know. I know that they all got set off when their ears popped from the pressure change.
That's usually what does it, yeah.
And so it was just the whole time. So I'm at the airport. I haven't slept, but it's fine because it still feels like midnight. That's like a normal-ish time to go to bed. I have my layover, it's like 2 hours. I get on my next flight, and I'm able to sleep on this flight, but it's only like 90 minutes. So, I arrive, it's raining.
Of course.
I get on the bus, because the airport's like slightly out of the city, so I get on the bus to take me to the city, and at this point it's like 10 or 11 in the morning. I don't have the meeting with my landlord to get my keys until it's like 4 p.m. So I have like 5 hours to kill, basically.
God.
There's like a luggage drop-off place in the main train station.
Oh, okay. You can like check your luggage.
Yeah, so I check my luggage, I get myself some lunch, I just kind of walk around and try not to lose momentum.
Okay.
I start trying to figure out how to get electricity in my apartment.
That seems important.
Yeah, so I look it up, it turns out you can't get it online unless you have specifically a French bank account because of the way the internet form is set up. And so I'm like, well, okay. And so I go, I meet with the landlord. The landlord is, I say landlord, it's like a whole company. There are multiple people who in this world who are referred to as my landlord, but it's like a whole company.
Not that different from the US, so.
Yeah. So the guy I meet with is really condescending.
Well, he's French, so.
He's like showing me different things in the apartment. Like he's like, okay, this is like when you get your power turned on, this is where you need to go, what you need to do. He gives me my keys and he holds this. and is like, and this is
What the
very
fuck?
important. This isn't going to start working until tomorrow morning. Repeat back to me.
Tomorrow morning?
And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but okay. And
What?
he's like, oh, I'll show it to you when we're doing the water stuff. Because he needed to show me something about the water. So I assumed it had something to do with the water, which I was like, that was fine. If I wasn't going to have water, that was whatever. Because I wasn't planning on staying there that night. Because
You just needed to, like, sleep, basically.
not even. I was getting on a bus to go to Germany to go stay with my partner.
Oh, okay, so you needed to drop off your stuff? Was that what it was?
I needed to drop off my stuff. And I'm going to remind you that
Okay.
my stuff is still in a locker in the train station.
Oh, God. That's coming up later. Okay.
So he leaves, and then I'm like, now what is this thing that's not going to be working?
Oh, no.
It turns out it's the front door key.
Oh, my God. I knew it was the fucking front door key. Oh, God.
So if I had brought my stuff with me, it would have been fine, because I would have been able to leave my stuff. If I was just going to bring all my stuff, it would have been fine, because I could have just brought all my stuff. But I had to go get my stuff and bring it back. And so I find this out. There's 2 doors that lock to get into the building. There's the one to the outside that leads into like the mail room, and then from the mail room, there's another door that locks to get into the main entrance. And I figure this out when I'm inside the mail room. So I'm locked out of the building, but I'm not outside.
What the hell?
And I'm sitting there, I'm crying. I call my partner, I call my mom.
Yeah.
And they're like,
God.
It's at this point that someone else who lives in the building, just some random person, sees me and is like, oh, do you need to come in? And I was like, oh my God, thank God. So they let me in. And I'm like, can I get your phone number? Because I need to go run, grab my stuff, and come back. And I'll just text you and you...
And I need to be let back in.
And I need to be let back in. That's all I need in like 20 minutes. He's like, no, I'm about to go to work. Sorry.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
And I like explained the whole situation. He's like, that's so weird. You should contact like building management about that. And I was like, okay.
And you were like, yeah, the guy that was here.
Well, so there's a phone number just posted somewhere to call.
Okay.
I call the phone number. I'm on hold for a couple minutes. And I explain the situation. And they're like, well, if your key's not active, your key's not active. There's nothing we can do about that. And I'm like, can you not send someone?
What?
And they're like, no, you could try knocking on the doors of the apartments, though. Or propping the doors, whatever. Actually, yeah, try knocking on doors, see if someone will let you back in. Take this as a great opportunity to meet your neighbors.
What? Okay, so just to recap.
Yes.
You are exhausted. You're jet lagged.
Yes.
You're disoriented. You're alone.
At this point, I've been awake for almost 40 hours.
You've been awake for almost 40 hours. And also, I assume at some point you have a train to catch.
Yeah, I have a bus.
So there is a time limit.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you're in a foreign country where the language you're speaking is not your native language, and I'm sure that they can tell that.
Yep.
And they're like, just go knock on random French people's doors.
So what
That's
did
their solution.
is I knocked on every single door and no one opened up.
Oh my God. They were probably mostly at work.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Uh-huh.
it's the middle of the day. Like, they really
It was
should have said
slightly
something.
after
That's
5
crazy.
p.m. And it's student dorm, so there's
Wow.
most people weren't moved in yet because it was still mid-August.
Oh, shit. And here's the thing. The people you were talking with on the phone should know that.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, go knock on all these empty doors, American boy.
Mm-hmm. Eventually, I'm like, well, she said on the phone that I should try propping the door. I'm going to prop the door and just hope it's not alarmed.
Yeah.
I'm going to prop the door and I'm going to try to write a note that basically is like,
In French.
if you're in French, if you're seeing this, you can remove the prop, but please text me at this number so I can be let back into the building. Because at this point, I have my French phone number. That's one of the things I sorted out.
Okay, good. I'm so glad that you had your SIM card and stuff sorted out.
Oh, yeah. No, it would have been obscene if I hadn't. It's like 92 degrees, 80% humidity.
And there's no air conditioner anywhere.
Nope. And I'm sprinting through the streets
No.
to get these
Oh my
stupid
God.
bags.
The fuck?
I made a game plan with my partner that was like, okay, what are the things in the apartment that I really need to be sure to have on me? So in my pockets is like my passport, my antidepressants.
All a growing boy needs. His passport and his SSRI medication.
Yeah, if I got locked out and couldn't access my SSRIs, I would be
No, that's
having
a problem.
a problem. Exactly.
Yes, that would be a fucking problem.
And at this point, my apartment doesn't have electricity, which I knew going in, and that was fine. So I get the bags, I get back, the building's still unlocked. Life can be a dream. And it's at this point that I call Molly, And I'm like, I need to pack my stuff to go to Germany. I have an hour, but I need to talk to someone because otherwise I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah, especially with being so sleep deprived. I don't know if this happens to you, but when I'm so fucking sleep deprived, I feel like I'm not connected to reality. So it's like...
It was like, if it hadn't worked, it would have been bad because I would have felt like it had never been more Jover. Because it worked, I was like 3 steps away from a manic episode.
Oh my god.
The combination of it worked and I just ran for 40 minutes.
The fucking adrenaline, though, because then you start crashing.
Yeah.
Like, from the adrenaline rush.
Uh-huh. Like, I felt amazing.
Oh no, that's bad.
That's really bad. I took a cold shower because I didn't have hot water because I didn't have electricity. And then I just did a decentish job packing. The only thing is I only brought 3 t-shirts for a week.
Nice.
But whatever.
Smelly boy.
I mean, they had a laundry machine. It was just a pain in the ass. So that worked out. And I make it to the bus. And the bus
Hell yeah.
is 12 hours.
Oh my god.
8 p.m. to 8 a.m.
They don't have a train? Like, why are you on a bus? Like, do you hate yourself?
They do have a train. It's $100 more expensive.
Okay, but at some point, it's worth it, though.
Only 3 hours faster.
Okay, but a train compared to a bus, though. I mean, also I'm thinking of American buses. I don't know if it's like this in Europe, but American long-distance buses, it's like, it smells like piss in here, someone is gonna stab you, like, it's bad.
They're substantially less sussy.
Okay, that's good.
And the bus is only to Strasbourg, which is still in France, but on the border. So my friend's there with his car and one of his friends to pick me up. We're basically just in traffic the entire... I sleep on the bus in like 30-minute increments, just because every time we hit a pothole, I wake up again.
Sounds restful.
And then I get in the car with my partner and his friends, and we're like... Their friend is like, do you want to like... come to my family gathering? The more people I invite, the shorter it'll be, and the quicker I can get out of there. And I'm like, all right, sure, because the friends, their parents are like nasty right-wingers. So they were basically like, please come so that it may be shorter. So I go, the parents talk to me a lot about, fucking whatever, man. I don't speak German. Their English is not very good.
You're like, I don't even know what.
I was like fully dissociating.
You're not in your body.
No.
Like, no.
Yeah. And then, I finally make it to my partner's place and I crash epically and monumentally.
Yes. How long did you sleep for at that point?
Like fully 13 hours.
Oh my god. You needed that shit.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like that was the deepest, dankest sleep.
And the whole next day, I don't think I left the apartment. I think I was just like barely moving, just like...
Comatose.
Yeah.
Catatonic. Damn.
So that's how things started. Then, one of the things I wanted to take care of while I was there was getting electricity sorted out. So that I have like lights and a way to charge my phone and hot water, which we'll come back to.
You do not need to explain to me why you need electricity, but thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I'm trying to fight with the online portal, and I do a bunch of research into like French bank accounts. And before I left, I like got a credit card through my American bank. It's like a travel card. It has no fees for international whatever. So
nice.
I'm just using it like a debit card.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they don't want you to pay for your electricity on a credit card for some reason.
They want it from your bank account.
Yeah, which their online form is incompatible with my bank account details.
Oh my god, of course it is.
So my partner, he studied French for a couple of years in high school, but it's been several years since he's thought about it. But I get him to sit with me for moral support while I call the power company. And I'm like, s'il vous plaît, électricité. And I'm on the phone for... I'm not going to say the total time. I'm going to tell you what happens on the phone. So first we call, and the person's like, yeah, the person who can help you with that isn't in right now. Call back at this time.
Oh, God.
And they give me a time, and I miss the number. I hear 5, and my partner hears 16.
Hello? Okay. Well, okay, to
which
be
is
fair,
4 p.m.
French numbers are pretty fucked up. So
yeah.
that does make sense to me. That tracks.
And so I call back around that time, and someone picks up and is like, oh yeah, let me transfer you to someone. And I'm like, okay, great. And I explain the whole situation about how I have a it's a traveler's bank account, but their Europe branch is based in Belgium. So I have like the Belgian information, but I don't have French information.
Okay.
But it's supposed to work within the Eurozone. It's illegal to discriminate based on
Oh shit.
that.
I didn't know that.
So they have to give it to me.
Even if it's not a French bank account, because I feel like, didn't earlier you say they want it
Correct.
to be a French bank account, but it could be in the EU, basically.
Yes. So the online form only works if it's a French bank account.
Oh, I understand. Okay.
Like the numbers are different lengths.
Okay.
This first person is like, let me transfer you to someone else. And so they transfer me to someone else. And I explain my situation to someone else. And they say, that's so interesting. Let me transfer you to someone else.
Oh my god.
They transfer me to someone else. And this person, I don't think she knows anything more than anyone else. But she sits down and she starts asking me these questions, like the quote questions of like, what appliances do you have? Do you live alone? Blah, blah, blah. And she's explaining to me some sort of like power outage insurance thing.
Okay.
She's like, are you interested in this? And I'm like, no. And she goes, why?
What?
At this point, I'd been on the phone for 45 minutes.
What the fuck?
And I'm like,
This is crazy.
so flabbergasted. I like look at my partner and I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna say? And then she goes, why, mister? And I'm like, I have a student budget, which was apparently a good enough reason.
Monsieur.
Pourquoi, monsieur?
Pourquoi, monsieur?
Yeah, no.
Wow.
And then it all ends up working out. I was on the phone for an hour.
What the fuck? This is insane. Just to get electricity.
Yes. Let me consult my list. Okay. So I returned to my apartment on Wednesday. I had them turn the electricity on Thursday morning. Whatever. Because I returned to my apartment. I fly back. So I make it back to my place. It's like 11 p.m. Whatever. I go to bed. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I can shower. It'll be warm. It'll be nice. All my lights work. Life can be a dream.
No.
I don't have hot water.
No, you don't. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, is there something I need to turn on? And so I inspect the entire like water boiler. There's just a giant tank in my bathroom.
Inside the bathroom?
Yeah, I think the way it works is overnight, when electricity is cheaper, it's supposed to heat up this entire thing of water and then dispense it to you throughout the day.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
When it works.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, is there something I need to turn on? Is there a way I need to force it to do that? Because it's theoretically just supposed to do that. Couldn't find any moving parts on the boiler except for a valve labeled release or something or like drainage or something like that. So I'm like, I'm not going to touch that one.
Okay, good.
I send an email to the person who I've been in contact with being like, all my lights work, my stove works, except is there something I need to do for the hot water? Because that doesn't work. I don't get a response.
Of course not. You know, maybe you should go knock on your neighbor's doors and see if they can, like, give you a bucket of hot water.
This was on the 27th of August. I've been emailing this person every 2 days since the 27th of August.
Oh my god. Do you still not have hot water right now?
I haven't even gotten a response.
Oh, okay. It is the 7th of September.
Yes. I have been showering with cold water and...
Oh my god.
I don't have very big pots, so I do, like, boil water. But my pots aren't very big.
It's
so
like the 1800s.
Literally, at the end of the shower, all I do is just dump a pot of hot water, like warm water on my head so that I don't be cold for the next 20 minutes.
Holy fuck.
The saga continues. Yesterday morning, I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna figure out how to make this hot water work. I'm like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I turn on the drainage valve, and then I close it again, and it continues to dribble.
Ooh.
And in fact, it has not stopped. There's a steady stream of, like, water just coming out. It is, like, collected directly into a pipe, so it's not flooding anywhere. It's just draining.
Good. What the fuck?
And so I sent an email to a person with a video of the water heater, which is now dribbling water out. And for reference, water bill is not coming from me. I pay for power, they pay for water. So this is fully not my financial problem.
Oh my god. So, like, they're basically, like, hemorrhaging money, basically, and they just, like, apparently don't give a shit.
So I sent them an email yesterday morning being like, it's now doing this. I woke up and it's doing this.
Through no fault of my own.
No, straight up. And Then my partner has a French friend and he is like, okay, here are some organizations you can talk to. Here are some, like, look for like a like this kind of renters union, blah, blah,
Well,
blah.
because that's straight up illegal. Like, okay, so I'm not French. I barely know where Europe is, so this is take a grain of salt. But I believe it is illegal in most places to not have hot water.
So there's also probably going to be a general strike starting on the 10th. So if I don't get a response on
Oh,
Monday, I'm going to be sending them a letter on the 9th through like certified mail, basically being like, French law says I'm entitled to this much rent reduction because I don't have access to hot water.
damn.
This is the amount of rent I will now be paying until this issue is resolved.
I believe you'd be legally protected.
I believe so, yeah. If I call them, they'd be like, well, now's a great time to get to know your neighbors and ask to shower in their apartments.
Yeah, what the fuck? Damn.
That's just been happening. In addition to that, school started on Monday.
Oh, I forgot that you were going to school. That's like so far from my mind that I like forgot you were doing that. Like, this is the reason why you're in France, to go to school.
Yes.
Oh my god. So what's been happening with your school? Like, how's it going? I'm gonna guess based on the groan that you just made, not great.
So school itself is going great. The process of getting enrolled as a student is one of the fucking trials of Hercules.
What? Wait, weren't you already registered though? Like, they knew you were coming.
They knew I was coming and I was accepted, but I have to do this like administrative registration.
Okay.
And I was supposed to, over the summer, have received an email with a number in it that I need for that registration. I received no such email.
Oh god. Of course not.
But on the university website, there was like a thing of like, everyone in this master's program, there's a required meeting Monday morning at this place. Go there.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, slay. Monday morning, I'm going to go here. There's going to be a person there who, even if they don't know, they're going to know who to reach out to. And I wake up Monday morning. It's lightly drizzling. And I get on the bus and I go to school. And campus is a ghost town. And I'm like,
Like, where is everybody?
Where is everybody? And I go to the room that the meeting's supposed to be in, and it's locked. Nobody's there.
Of course it is.
And I go on the website, and it turns out that due to a severe thunderstorm warning, the beginning of school was delayed by a day. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going home now.
But didn't you say it was lightly drizzling?
Well, as I leave...
No.
It's
God.
Raining buckets. In the hour where I was looking for this room, rain accumulated to the point that it was above the height of my sneakers in certain places.
Oh my god, so it was like a flood.
Yes. I don't have an umbrella. I don't have a raincoat. And it's hot as balls. So I'm in this fake leather jacket because it's the only thing I have that's vaguely water repellent.
No.
Getting just absolutely pissed on.
Pelted.
And then I make it back into the city. And it's not raining in the city at all. And so I'm just on the bus, the only person on the bus, looking like a drowned rat, while everyone else is just there.
Oh, you probably look so pathetic. They were like, I feel bad for this person.
I put myself through the paces that morning. I took a cold shower that morning and everything. So I get home, I go buy myself some ice cream, I call my mom, and I'm like, all right, I'll try again tomorrow. And Tuesday comes, I scour the entire website. I don't find information about where the meeting is rescheduled for. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm showing up to the same place at the same time. And I show up and there's no one there, obviously.
Of course there's not. I would have been shocked if there were people there, frankly.
But there are people on campus, so school is happening, just not for me.
Awesome.
And so I go and find the secretary and ask her when the meeting is. And she's like, oh, it's on this day at this time. And I'm like, all right, that's tomorrow, whatever. And I email this person whose job title is just responsable, spelled like responsible. And so I'm like, I assume this is the person I should be emailing with all of my issues.
That makes sense, though.
I email him and I'm like, I don't know anything. I'm not in any of the online platforms. I'm missing this number. Please help me. And he's like, okay, here's what you need to contact about this. Here's your schedule for the week, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so you have an official schedule. That's good. That's something.
Yes. Well, so everyone in the program has the same schedule.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
There's only 20 of us.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was such a small program.
Yeah. So I go to class. The meeting was the next morning. And so at the meeting, it's whatever. And I talk to the person and he's nice. And he's like, with any problems, just email me. And I'm like, okay, amazing.
Sure.
And I'm emailing with the secretary about getting me actually enrolled in school. So I had the meeting set up with her because I don't have my number to be able to do this remotely online. And I get my number. I'm emailing with other people. Someone gives me the number and I'm like, okay, amazing. I can cancel this appointment because it was in the middle of one of my cases. So I can cancel this appointment. And so I go and I start getting ready to enroll. And it does not like my bank card.
Of course it doesn't.
So I have to show up to her office again and be like, I know I just canceled this meeting, but
no.
I'm so sorry. Can we meet?
Oh, God.
And it's pushed until Friday. And so on Friday, I finally have this meeting and it goes great. I pay my tuition and I have access to a bunch of online stuff now. I still have more steps to do before I can actually see my schedule. So I have to text the program group chat and be like, can anyone send me the schedule for next week? And turns out she's misspelled my name.
Fun. Oh, I love that.
She was looking at my passport while she typed it.
Oh my fucking God.
And so I have to, and that's like related to like the thing I need to use to sign up for healthcare.
Oh my God.
I have to show up on Monday with my passport again and be like, please just fix this.
And is she like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do?
Well, this hasn't happened yet. So I sent her an email about it when I noticed.
Oh, okay.
Which was Friday after business hours ended. So she hasn't responded yet.
Oh, okay. Oh my God.
I'm just going to show up in person and be like, there was an error when this account was made for me. Can it just get fixed, please?
Yeah, I hope it is able to be fixed.
I think that's everything that has happened. School is fun, though.
Oh my God.
I like school a lot.
Yeah, are you, like, or you said the program is taught in English?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're, like, getting a trial by fire right now with language-wise. Okay. Like, how is it going? Like, are you able to understand people, or, like...
So none of my professors are native French speakers.
Okay.
This is good in some ways because they speak really slowly, and none of them have, like, accents that you can't get used to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense.
I understand them, except for one who just directly faces the blackboard, has terrible handwriting, and does not project.
It's like you're literally facing away from everybody, bro. Like, no one can hear you.
Correct.
That's hilarious.
Correct. I can understand all of the professors just fine. The other students, Jesus Christ.
Oh, God.
Like, someone asked me, was trying to make small talk with me, and I was like, I need you to slow down. I'm so sorry. Like, I understand standard French, but I don't understand slang.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
With, like, actually living in another country that speaks a different language. Because you can study Duolingo until the cows come home. It doesn't teach you slang because it's so regional, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's also like young people speak very differently to old people. And this was true when I've been to France in the past as well. I can almost always understand anyone age 40 and up, and I cannot understand anyone under the age of 25.
Wow. That's hilarious. It's that different. That's crazy.
Well, because young people use a lot more internet slang, a lot of which, or slang in general, and a lot of slang at this point comes from Arabic.
Really? Arabic?
Yes, because there's a lot of
fascinating
Middle Eastern and North African people who are refugees or just moved to France.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's very interesting. Didn't France colonize Africa or parts like of northern Africa? Or did I make that up?
Parts of northern and I think some of Central Africa, parts of the Middle East, also Haiti.
Yes. French
and
speaking. Yeah.
Places in Southeast. General.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Interesting. I knew that there were some French-speaking countries in Africa, and I assume that's due to colonization. One time I had an Uber driver, and I don't even know how this came up. I think I was like, hey, where are you from, man? You know, just making conversation. And he started going, I don't even remember what country he was from, but it's one of the ones colonized by France. And he went on the most scathing fucking takedown of France that I have ever heard in my life.
Slay.
He was like, me and every single person I know literally would like kill a French person on sight. We hate the French. And I was like, damn, I respect that, man.
Slay.
I was like, I promise I'm American. Like, I'm not French even a little bit. Like, no, not even, it was kind of funny. I was like, you know, and he was like, I'm so sorry. This probably means nothing to you. And I'm like, no, I hate the French too now. Like, I'm on your side. You have convinced me. And now I also hate France.
Yeah, he's correct.
Like, he was about to declare war on these bitches. Like, and he's right.
No, he's fully right.
Damn. So apparently, not to talk about current events when it's going to be 6 months or more. I don't know if I told you. I went to a comedy show last night, or the night before last. And, well, okay, well, first of all, the show started at 10 p.m., which I'm like...
What the fuck?
What is wrong with you? And I was like, okay, it's fine. It's going to be like an hour. No, this person had like 3 openers. And like, they were good. Like, I enjoyed the show. It's just like, by the time the main act was like halfway through his set, I was like, I am falling asleep. So anyway, he started like referencing, he was like, it almost happened. We thought it almost happened. And I'm like, what is he referencing?
Oh, Trump dying.
Like, what is he talking about? Yeah, and then I had to, like, look at Eve, my girlfriend, and be like, can you tell me what's going on right now? Like, whispering, obviously, because I don't want to disturb people. And everyone knew what he was talking about. And she was like, people thought Trump was dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Oh, you didn't know about this? I knew about this.
No, but I don't have social media. So what I do on my phone is I play Spider Solitaire. I read.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm reading, I just started the Mortal Instruments series.
Oh, fun. You should read The Locked Tomb if you haven't.
Oh, is it related to the series?
No.
Or is it like a similar type of vibe?
Gideon the Ninth, which is the first one, is of a similar genre.
That sounds so similar. Gideon. Is this like a newer one that's lesbian?
Yes.
Okay. I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
I'm deeply obsessed with it.
Really? Okay. Well, it's like a fantasy sci-fi thing,
Yes,
right?
correct.
I would probably like it then. In that case, I think I will put that on my reading list. But yeah, I literally, and if I go onto the internet on my old phone, I'm watching gaming YouTube. But I haven't really even been on YouTube because I've been moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't been consuming any media.
My phone, I don't know how I turn this on and I don't know how to turn this off, will give me news articles in French every so often.
Oh.
And so I woke up one day and the title of the news article, this was in French, was just, Donald Trump, is he dead?
What? That was just the headline.
Yes. And I don't bother reading the article. I just Google it instead and I'm like, oh, interesting.
I'm glad I didn't hear about it because it's like, well, don't get my hopes up.
Yeah. I didn't think it was real, but... You know.
Some people thought it was real, and I'm like, we need to have some critical thinking skills here.
Yeah.
If Trump was dead, why would they hide it?
If they did hide it, I don't think Vance would be allowed to soft launch Trump being dead.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they might hide it if he's critically ill, which I think obviously he doesn't look good, but maybe they would hide it if he was critically ill. I frankly don't know if they would hide it if he was critically ill. Like, I think they would probably have to say something.
If he's planning to remain the president, they're gonna hide it.
Yeah, but if he was dead, they wouldn't hide it.
If he was dead, then they wouldn't hide it because they would need a president.
Like, that's what's so stupid to me about this whole situation is, like, apparently this went on for multiple days where people were questioning if he was alive, and I'm like, really? What motivation would anyone have for keeping that a secret?
Speaking of current events, have you heard about the Department of War?
Again, I didn't even know that Trump was potentially dead, so I've never heard of that before.
So, Trump wants to rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War.
Oh my god. Seriously?
In order to project strength and aggression.
It's giving desperation. It's not giving strength.
This is not one of the top 10 most harmful things he's done. This is a relatively unharmful thing he's done. But it's just so stupid and pointless that it just kind of latches on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're aware of this because you're not in Boston, but I just saw, because of course after this I was like, well, maybe I should be keeping up with the news a little bit more. So I was like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Like, I need to be at least like a bare minimum of informed. And I saw, I think yesterday, apparently Trump has like deployed deployed ICE onto Boston because
I did hear about
there's been this whole conflict of Boston being a sanctuary city, which is just weird to me because there's a lot of cities that are sanctuary cities. So I don't know why we're being targeted specifically, because it's like, who gives a shit?
It's because Michelle Wu is a bit of a figurehead because she had a very successful testimony in Congress against some bullshit the administration was doing. And she's also up for re-election at the moment.
Yes, that is true. And I think she's going to win. Frankly, that's just my call.
Who's going to win? Fucking Kraft?
I mean, she's just extremely popular. Like, I mean, I would be shocked if she didn't win re-election.
For sure. Kraft is getting like a third of people, and Wu is getting literally everyone else. So, like,
the lion's share. Like, and she's the incumbent. I mean, that's also just how it is, you know?
Yeah.
And I have my issues with Michelle Wu, but I think compared to Florida, like, I guess it's all relative, right? Like, she's not perfect, but I mean, anyway, so apparently ICE is being deployed in like a mission to Boston, which is like absolutely crazy because like Boston is one of the fucking most white ass cities. Not that there aren't international people here. There's a lot of international students. So there was also the tough student who was kidnapped by ICE last year. So I'm just wondering if I can find some ways to like get involved. It's literally fucking scary out here, and like walking down the street looking like racially ambiguous as I do, I'm like, am I gonna get stopped by fucking ICE agents asking for my papers or whatever? Like, should I start carrying my passport with me? It's just ridiculous. This is so stupid because I'm an American citizen and I'm in a place of privilege due to that. But I've just heard of them just detaining people and putting them on planes to other states, to other countries. They bring people to third-party countries who then extradite them to countries that were legally not allowed to send people. And all of this has sometimes happened before anyone even realizes where the person is. And it just really sucks because I just moved from Roxbury, which I don't know, again, you're in France now, so I don't know if you have like been aware, but Roxbury has been dealing with gun violence to a degree that is extremely alarming. I would hear gunshots because my house is like at the top of that big ass hill. So all the sound travels up to my house. I can hear everything going on in like a 2 to 3 mile radius. So I would hear the gunshots because I know what gunshot sounds like. I'm from the South. I've shot a gun. Like I know the difference between like gunshots and fireworks. So I'd hear the gunshots and then I would hear the ambulances. And the next day I Google Roxbury news and it's another shooting, but with no information. Like this was gang related or this was a personal dispute or it was domestic related. Just like 19-year-old shot 15-year-old. No mention of like if the person was arrested. It's just ridiculous how that neighborhood is treated. The people who live there, because it's a historically black neighborhood, are treated like their lives don't fucking matter. Because if a shooting happened in a white neighborhood like in Somerville, it would be on the news every day. There'd be demands for updates from law enforcement. There would be a manhunt basically to find the person and like figure out what happened. And in Roxbury, people are just fucking getting shot and there's no information, there's no follow-up, there's no safety plan. It's just like, well, good luck. And I have this like feeling of guilt because I moved to Somerville, which is like, it is objectively safer to live here. Like there has not been a shooting in like a really long time here. And but it's also a predominantly white neighborhood. On one hand, it's like I'm moving into like a safer neighborhood. On the other hand, now I stand out. It's just scary. It's scary. I get why you moved to France.
It's really interesting. People always are like, oh, do you have French family? Or like what's your connection to France? And it's very sort of weird being like, no, I just like it here.
It's weird. Yeah.
When they push, I have to be like, well, in the US, and it's very interesting to see in real time people's perceptions of the US alter.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that actually. Like when you talk to people, like they're not aware of what's happening over there, like I guess the general public.
People are aware of like Trump because it's unfortunately hard not to be.
Yeah. That's objectively true.
I think unless you are going to the US, know people from the US, or stuff like that, you don't know that people are getting like literally black bagged off the street.
Interesting. That is so interesting to me because I thought, naively, foolishly, that something to that magnitude would be international news. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
Because I would assume something to that nature would be known, especially in foreign countries where it's like, well, if I was a French person or if I like lived outside of the US, I wouldn't necessarily want to visit the US.
There was a decline in tourism, but it has mostly rebounded.
Wow, that is shocking.
Yes.
It feels irresponsible of like the media.
Rebounded from Europe. It hasn't rebounded from places with predominantly racialized people to the same extent.
Yes, I can imagine.
But they also, in general, because of how the history of the world is, make up a smaller share of tourism to the US to begin.
Yes. So I wonder how it's being portrayed in countries that are not predominantly white.
Did you hear about I forget which country, but a director of Homeland Security, I think Christy Nome or something, there was an ad that was running in Spanish in this country being like, do not come to the US illegally. We will find and deport you.
What the fuck? I'm at a point where I just feel numb. I do feel scared still, but I also feel this, I can't even feel angry anymore. I just feel numb. I'm like, yeah, of course they're doing this. Like, I don't even feel surprised. I feel like when you live with a level of fear for so long, the only way you can cope with that is by numbing. And I'm an American citizen, and if I'm feeling this way, I really can't even imagine the fear that people live with. And by the way, I just want to clarify, even if you have committed a crime or come here illegally, it still does not mean you deserve to be, like, deported to a fucking camp.
Yeah.
I hate it when people are like, oh my god, I can't believe they're deporting people who are here legally. And it's like, okay, so people here, quote unquote, illegally deserve to die? Like,
yeah,
that's crazy to me.
I understand why people react like that, or why people, whenever someone gets got, go out of their way to paint them as like a pinnacle of the community or whatever.
Yes.
But even if they're not, like, even if they are objectively making the world around them worse, they still should not get got off the street.
They still deserve due process and basic civil rights. And I feel like we as a society need to, like, totally 360 our, well, I guess 360 would be back to the same place. 180 our like view of empathy as like only people we consider to be morally perfect deserve basic human empathy. I would love to see that change.
Yeah.
I don't know how it will change because I think it's hard, and it's just crazy because people who claim to be so empathetic and liberal are like, they still will focus on like, oh, well, I can't believe they're taking citizens, or I can't believe they're taking innocent, quote unquote, people. And it's not even about empathy. It's like, it's just like human rights, regardless of whether you like someone or you agree with their choices or they've like committed a crime, like they still are a human being. And also, I mean, Boston is a hub for international students.
I think that's also part of it. Harvard, there was a time when their ability to issue student visas was revoked, and it was eventually reinstated. But I think intentionally making universities as unappealing for international students as possible is also part of it.
I mean, at the same time, like, they can try to make Harvard unappealing as much as possible, but people are still going to apply there from all over the world.
They are, but also, if you're getting into Harvard, you could probably get into the top school of your country. Would you rather go to Harvard with a very real chance that you won't be able to get a degree and be forced to return home, except you've spent 2, 3, even 3.5 years and you don't have a degree, and now you have to start over.
Yeah, true. I don't know. They haven't released statistics of anything, but I would see a very large decrease in applications. Does that mean they're not filling all their spots? I don't know. Because here's the thing, it depends on the country you're coming from.
True.
Coming from a country that has renowned universities that are similar to Harvard, if I can get into Harvard, I can get into those. If I'm coming from a country that maybe doesn't have a university, or the degree I get there is not recognized in in other countries, then I think it would be different. So yeah, I think we're still going to have international students here. It's just going to be maybe less.
Yes.
And that's a shame. That's a huge shame.
In addition to federal funding for research getting cut, for a lot of universities, international students are an important source of money.
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, when I was at that is where a huge amount of our money.
My university was the same way. And I haven't been telling this to people, but part of like why I essentially had to come here is I applied to more than 20 schools in the US and I got into one.
What? I'm actually really surprised to hear that. Which one did you get into?
Oh, I'm blanking on the name. It's in North Carolina.
Oh, is it Chapel Hill?
No, Wake Forest.
I can't really imagine that you would feel really safe in North Carolina as a trans person.
Well, so even like with that, I got my rejection in the middle of July. So like
What?
So to me, that says, maybe this is me being optimistic. They were looking for money to accept me. And they finally found that they couldn't. Because if they wanted to reject me, they would have just done it.
Well, I'm just surprised that they didn't put you on a wait list if they weren't getting back to you until July. Did you get waitlisted?
I got waitlisted for a couple schools.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
So academia, and maybe it's just this year, but it might be the direction of the future. The amount of money is shrinking.
Well, yes, and here is another point about academia, which is going to really tank it, is the amount of incoming freshmen is decreasing every year, and it is not going to go up. And what's really going to be affected is these small liberal arts independent colleges. And as someone who went to a small independent liberal college, I don't necessarily think that's like a horrible thing for society. Like small colleges like have their place. However, they're fucking expensive. They're like white liberal enclaves, just like white enclaves in general. Like they're just basically like a rich white kid goes to summer camp. And their parents pay for it. And they just get to cosplay whatever type of school they went to. And I'm like, is this really necessary? I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong. This is like kind of a hot take, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that some of these smaller colleges are going to end up folding. I do think it's going to have a huge effect on Boston's economy over the next 10 to 20 years, because I'm going to Google it right now. How many colleges and universities are in the greater Boston area? It's got to be over 20.
Easily.
It says over 50.
Yeah, no, totally.
And not all of those are going to survive. It's insane how many I just like drive by. That's going to fundamentally change the fabric of the city. And I'm just really curious how.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if fewer people go to college. I think the problem is that those white people with the money who are predominantly making up those schools are still going to be going to college, but there's just going to be fewer spots in college overall. And so it's going to become harder for people who don't have all of those privileges to be going to college. Harder than it already is.
I think it's going to increase stratification when at this point, I mean, having a bachelor's degree is like a prerequisite for so many jobs that really don't need it.
Oh, yeah,
really don't
totally.
need it. I work with people that I'm like, yeah, you didn't need to go to school for this job. You're basically doing nothing. Like, no offense to those people, but you did not need to go to college for like communications or whatever. And I do like that Boston has recently had free community college. And I believe if you go through like the state system, you can basically go for free. And I'm hoping to see more of that. As much as it might suck to go to a big university, they have the state funding, they have the federal funding, they have the most resources to help you. I think a lot of people are going to end up going into state universities. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad.
No.
I think you're right, though. I think it's going to mean fewer options for students who need a non-traditional environment to learn. It's going to be interesting, but I also wonder if this could lead to a surge of older students. I think that's a huge untapped funding source, because like older students tend to have more money. They tend to be more stable. They tend to be a little more responsible. And I don't know the statistics on this, but I wonder if they did a study, if they would find that like students who are between 3 to 5 years older than the average when they start college, I wonder if they would find that they're more successful overall as far as like graduation rates. Because I know when I graduated high school, if I had gone to college for real, I wouldn't have gone to class. I had huge procrastination problems. I had deep-seated mental health issues. I just wouldn't have graduated, and I also like would have studied English or something fucking stupid. And then as an adult, when I went to college, it was just way easier. Sorry for going on to my little soapbox rant, but I mean, if you're an older student trying to get an undergraduate degree, you're basically like treated like shit. I had a similar experience to you where I had a 4.0 GPA at community college, and I was not feeling challenged. I felt confident in my ability to go to a four-year school. I applied to every single school in Boston. I got rejected from every single one, including my safety school. The only college that accepted me was UMass Boston, which I didn't want to go to because they didn't have housing. And it's like impossible to get to.
True.
UMass Amherst.
It's impossible to get to if you don't live in Amherst.
Which is in western Massachusetts, which is 2 hours from Boston. And so those were my options. And I, again, had a 4.0 GPA. I was waitlisted at so many schools. I'm not trying to brag when I say this. I'm just letting you know that I was waitlisted for Yale. The fact that I got rejected by Boston University is kind of insane. The fact that you got rejected by kind of insane, frankly. Not that Northeastern isn't a good school. It's just like...
Not to be bragging. Out of the schools I applied to in Europe, I got into 6 out of 8 of them.
Wow.
So, like, the US, especially this year, was not a good time to be looking for money.
It's fucked.
And the other thing is, even if I was seriously considering North Carolina, which I sort of wasn't, the main benefit is they gave me a stipend for being a TA, but I couldn't trust the stipend would still be there.
Yes. Didn't they tell you that? Weren't they like, we don't even know if we're going to be able to keep paying you?
So I didn't get that, but a lot of schools did. You're halfway through your PhD and money ran out, and
oh my god,
you got to figure something out. And so, like, the program at Wake Forest was only a master's, so I would have then had to apply to a PhD as well. And
that's more money, basically, that you would have to spend
on applying, yeah. And more time in essentially forced poverty, because I would be working for the school and making pennies.
Basically, grad students are like fucking exploited labor.
Yeah.
And that's why they've been trying to unionize at MIT.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going.
A lot of schools now have unions. Yeah, so, like, if the state of academia was the same when I got my master's degree, I'd have a very hard time going to Europe, starting in Europe at a PhD program, versus if I just went over here for a master's, I'd have a much easier time transitioning into a PhD.
Into a PhD from a European master's, because you're already, like, in their system.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Because I imagine that master's degrees vary even more between the US and other countries. Then I'm really glad you're in France. I feel like I can sleep easier knowing at least one of my friends is, like, I guess, out of the blast zone.
For now, yeah.
I recently have been getting really into, please, you're gonna laugh, it's fine. I just accept it now. My recent special interest is the fucking Revolutionary War. That shit was crazy. I'm getting into it. I know it's really stupid, but I'm interested specifically in how it intersects with Black history, like American Black history, because I was under the impression, and I wonder if this is like a lie that I was told in Florida, because we were told, oh, the Civil War wasn't about slavery, and the South fought very bravely and admirably. I mean, I went to Robert E. Lee Middle School, so they have since changed the name. I'd like to update everyone, but I did go to that school, so I wonder if this is a lie that I was taught, but I always thought that enslaved people fought for the United States generally, because they thought, oh, if we're liberated from the British, then maybe we can, like, stop having slaves. And that did happen. However, the vast majority of enslaved people fought for the British because they were also offering freedom to enslaved people, which is ironic given all of their fucking colonial bullshit and, like, basically having slaves in other countries. And it just is so fascinating. So it's like 8,000 versus 3,000. So there were about 8,000 enslaved Black people who fought for Britain in the Revolution, and then 3,000 who fought for the United States. And the fucked up thing is that both sides did not give, like, what they said.
Oh, yeah.
Like, basically after Britain was defeated, they were like, I know we promised you that you could come be British citizens, but we are gonna leave because we just lost. There actually were some people who managed to get on a boat to England and get their citizenship, but it was very small. I don't know, something about that just fascinates me. Like, if you were an enslaved person at the time, you basically had to make a gamble. You had to be like, which side is more likely to give me freedom?
How much of those 8,000 versus 3,000 was voluntary, and how much of it was forced by the white people who, quote unquote, owned slaves?
I don't know, and I need to do more research on it, but I also think this is a very understood, like, it's just there's not as many historical records about that because enslaved people were seen as property. So it's hard to say. I know that the people who fought for the British, I don't believe that they were forced.
That's really interesting. Okay.
And part of me wonders how much of the Revolutionary War was about slavery as well. That is not talked about because Britain was in the process of trying to abolish slavery in Britain.
Yes.
While the Revolutionary War was happening. So I guess I just wonder how much of the revolution was actually at least partially about slavery in the US. Anyway, that's my rant. That's what I've been into lately. I mean, I know you're like doing your math stuff. Is there anything that you've been super into lately or reading?
So the course structure, because Monday classes were canceled and then Wednesday morning we had this meeting. So I've been Tuesday through Friday, 6 to 8 hours a day in classes, in lecture, in French.
Oh, wow.
I get out of lecture, and not only am I tired from lecture, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but like with second languages, while you're getting used to hearing them spoken all the time, it was like I close my eyes and I just hear random words.
Whoa. I've never experienced that before because I only really speak English. I speak a little Spanish, but mostly English.
When I had a friend visit me when I was studying in France the first time, he only did a little bit of French learning, and he described this dream he had, and I now refer to this experience as seeing the language bone. So the dream was just a black void with just like a single vertebra just in the void, and all he could hear was just nonsense babbling in French as he just contemplated the bone.
That was the whole dream?
That was the whole dream.
I think someone put a curse on his ass. I'm sorry. That's not normal. That is not normal.
Not that exact experience, but something like that happened to me as well when I was getting acclimated to just hearing so much French.
Does it feel like it's extra energy?
Yes. It showing up in dreams is like your brain is just trying to get used to that type of input, because a second language uses, while you're getting used to it, like a different set of brain skills than your native language. And so it's a lot of work to like process this.
Yeah.
Eventually it calms down. But right now, like I was doing some homework before we hopped on to record. And as I was writing out proofs, I mostly am using symbols. As I'm saying to myself, like in my brain, what the symbols mean, I'm feeling it both in English and French at the same time.
Oh my god, no. That's too much. Sounds like a lot. Can I ask another question that is language related?
Go for it.
I don't know why I'm asking permission to ask you questions on our podcast, but anyway, it's good to check in. But no, I'm just curious, like, when you are hearing French, like, do you feel like it's going through a translation process? Because that's my issue with Spanish, is I feel like I can't just understand it. I hear it, I have to process it, and then I have to translate it to English in my head.
No. So sometimes yes, for like forms, like bureaucracy stuff. 100% yes.
Yeah.
Or like I had to look up the make and model of my stupid fucking water heater.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that only existed in French. And so that I was very much translating in my brain.
Yeah.
Because that's not stuff I use all the time. But for lectures or for like if I'm watching TV, it doesn't get translated. And
okay.
There was a time when it did.
Wow.
But it comes down to like, if I am talking about, this is a really contrived example, but if I'm talking about a rose, right? I'm not just talking about the rose that's in front of us. I'm evoking the idea of a rose by any other name and all of these literary references to love. And all of this is baggage attached to the word rose.
Yes.
And until you, in another language, have enough baggage attached to enough words, you're only going to be able to interface with them through a different language, because you don't have enough there to keep your brain from doing that, if that makes sense.
Yes. No, it does make sense. And what I think is kind of the main downfall of a lot of language apps is it's basically everything is translation.
Yes.
It's basically training your brain to understand a language by a process of translation, which I think, given what you've just described, is like not really a true and deep understanding and like you were saying, like the baggage, like you can really only get that through building up context over time of just experiencing the language and hearing it and interacting with it. I do strongly feel like there's really no substitute for immersion.
This is
like
true.
when it comes to language learning. Like you can't replicate that.
I also think if I were to add one thing to kind of like the Duolingo apps, I think reading even like summaries of classic literature in that language and answering questions in the language, even if you don't know what the questions mean, seeing the words, seeing them in the context of this literature, because that's a common touch point for people who speak that language. Like I haven't read that much Shakespeare, but I know about The Rose, for example, or things like that.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like, and all the words that Shakespeare invented that we still use.
Exactly.
And I feel like in other languages and cultures, there are things that are similar, that like even if you don't know what it is, like even someone who's a native English speaker, even if they literally don't know who Shakespeare is, Shakespeare has shaped their cultural and linguistic world. And I'm sure there are so many other examples in French that I don't even know about.
Or like Dickens, for example, was hugely influential in terms of a lot of our associations. I don't know if this is a thing for you, but like if someone goes, "Please, sir, can I have some more?" It's like a specific reference to Oliver Twist. And like obviously you're not going to be able to get every reference, especially if you're just reading summaries. But having a basic understanding of the centuries and, depending on the language, even millennia of work in that language, like written work in that language, as well as like interfacing with it through the language itself, is how you can begin to build that. Or if you don't want to read, I don't know, television, whatever, man, movies.
I think movies to an extent, but I feel like when you're talking about languages, movies are just kind of copies of a copy of a copy of a copy of a cultural reference from like 2,000 years ago or some shit. So I do think movies are useful, and I love watching shows and movies in Spanish, and I do think it helps me, like when I have subtitles on, but I don't put English subtitles on, I put Spanish subtitles on. That I think is super helpful. And because of that, I think I am fairly proficient in reading Spanish, which is really inconvenient because the only times that I need Spanish, it's like when it's talking to people. So it's like they don't come with subtitles. So I think pretty much anyone could pick up a language eventually after being immersed in it.
I also think, like, I don't know, it's also really interesting seeing other people's relationship to English, because English is everywhere here, but very few people are actively speaking it.
Yeah.
It's in ads a lot, like just the slogan of the rest of the ad is in French.
Oh, I mean, that's ubiquitous almost. That's present in Latin America. That's present in Asia. There's a lot of English just used as slogans and often can understand and know what it says, but they're not speaking English.
I've also noticed that depending on my confidence when I go into an interaction determines how likely the other person is to try to speak English with me. And I'm going to be honest with you, most people's English almost everyone's English is worse than my French.
Really?
Well, that's not saying much about a lot of people's English.
True.
Some people have very good English, but a lot of the time, obviously I don't think it's a moral failing or anything, but especially with like store clerks and things like that, it's a lot of the time going to be like their third or fourth language. So like,
that's insane.
Someone grows up in, I don't know, the Middle East and grows up speaking Arabic, moves to France, has to learn French, and then just to survive in the world also has to pick up some English.
Yeah. Yes.
And so, like,
I've also heard that English is often used as a bridge language, where you have a group of people who are all from different languages, but their common language is English. Spanish, I've heard, is also one.
In Europe, at least, that's the primary way that English gets used. The only times I've heard people speaking English just out in the world, except for a pair of British tourists, was people who are not native English speakers, just who are also not speaking the same other languages.
They do not share a common native language, but they share a second or third or whatever language of English, which is really interesting to me from like just a, I guess, linguistic, but also like a sociological standpoint. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know why that is, because where English originated, it's not like that's the majority of the world's population. You know, like you would think it would be like Chinese or Mandarin, I guess.
It's because of a couple of reasons. So a couple hundred years ago, it was French.
Yeah.
Because that's where the money was. And that's where like the stereotype of like elite whatever was. So it was French, and to a certain degree, also English, but it was usually French was the language that like the aristocracy learned, and the like the lingua franca of like international business, or Latin. But because America has such like the international language of business is English, a lot of jobs, if you're going to be working with, like I've seen some job postings that are like must have a certain level of English.
In France, the
In
job
France.
postings are requiring
Yes.
English. Wow.
Yes. Because if you're going to be communicating internationally, you're going to be speaking English.
Wow. Even if you're not working with an English-speaking country.
Correct.
You would still be probably communicating in English.
Yes. Like, I got into a school in Germany. I don't speak German. My German is extremely bad. And the degree was in English. Like, the whole program was in English.
Oh,
Because,
wow.
and there's several English programs at my university, none in math, though. Outside of the Anglosphere, it's primarily a business school for communication. People are trying to understand contract law
Or medical stuff.
or trying to figure out how to explain to the tourists from the entire world that no, they can't put their bags there. All language exists on a spectrum between art and tool in any given moment.
It's like function versus form.
Yeah.
And it's like the shopkeeper, they're learning the English that they need to learn. They're not learning legal terms or medical terms. But then you have the child who's translating for the non-English speaking parent over here for medical stuff. They're learning highly specific medical terminology. But they may not know other conversational things or cultural references.
Yeah.
You know? So that is just something that's fascinating.
And I feel this every time I go somewhere that doesn't speak English. I'm reminded how much English is, for most people who know it, much more of a tool like than an art. Like, English is the world's business language.
Which, it just makes you wonder if we as a global society had not had capitalism, how would that have affected language? Because obviously people need to communicate with each other. And not to go on another tangent, but something else that fascinates me is like people have made languages that are meant to be utility languages, but no one fucking uses them. And it's just weird to me when we have Esperanto right there. And not just Esperanto, but there are other conlangs that are way superior in every way to English.
I will say that Esperanto is not one of them.
Okay, I hear you. I hear and respect you. I don't know if Esperanto is superior to English, but I think as far as learning it, I do think it is easier to learn than English.
Agree.
For people who don't speak English.
I agree if they speak another Romance or Germanic language.
Yes.
It would not be easier for someone who only speaks Mandarin Chinese to learn. It is, I guess, more regular.
I think it would still be easier than English. If there were as many resources as learning Esperanto, I still think it's easier than English because of how English is so irregular and it's just so fucked up. And a lot of languages are fucked up. I love how people always talk about English being fucked up. I'm like, okay, what about Japanese? They have 3 different writing systems that you have to learn. Like, hello? Look at all these languages that give genders to objects. Like, you don't think that's fucked up? You know, let's not throw stones here is all I'm saying.
Just a brief tangent about why Esperanto sucks. Esperanto inherits a lot of...
Shut up!
Esperanto inherits a lot of the inbuilt misogynies inherent to a lot of Romance and Germanic languages. But I think the crime of Esperanto that makes it worse is that it was created with those built in. For example, the word for woman is just female man. Which, like...
female man.
If you're inventing a language and that's one of the features, I think that's so nasty.
Because, like, you had a chance. Like, you didn't have to do that.
Like, there's a lot of misogyny inherent to, I don't want to say every language, but the major world languages. But that was not designed by one guy.
Yeah, it's like an amalgamation of like systemic and can be changed,
yeah.
You know. But also Esperanto was created in the 1800s and not everyone in the 1800s was sexist, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the majority of people in Western society were very sexist during that time.
I'm going to say that the majority of people in Western society are moderately sexist now.
Yeah. Totally. No, I fully agree. Okay, I want to wrap it up because I think we've been going for like 2 hours, but I do want to share a quick tea update. I have talked to many trans guys, and a lot of them have said, oh, when I started tea, I just became more and more interested in like men, and like, I think I might be straight. am. Like, I am going the opposite direction. I'm not interested in men. I'm becoming more and more, like, exclusively interested in women. And, like, them presenting people in general, which is, like, kind of insane. I mean, I've always been predominantly attracted to women, but also, I guess I would have considered myself bisexual, pretty much half and half. But no, ever since I started taking tea, I'm like, I am losing all attraction to men. And it's honestly been great for my mental health. It's been great for my relationships.
That's
like,
so funny.
It's fucking awesome. I mean, I'm not saying I don't want to, like, be friends with guys, but wow, I think I might be straight. Like, this is kind of insane.
I think for me, a lot of it was because now that everything has settled, I'm like, I would say, honestly, about where I was at pre-T in terms of I'm like 90% interested in women and femme presenting people and 10% interested in men and masc presenting people. But I think when I was starting, I think it was like before T, I always needed to be the more masculine person in a relationship. And getting on T and also that changing my relationship to like, it's now a different experience to be interested in a woman than it was before.
I'm also feeling that as well.
And it's more societally acceptable. It's more acceptable for me. It felt more acceptable for me to be like not I don't want to say like expressively, but like more interested in men in that way than it did to be interested in women.
Interesting. Wait, so you felt like it was more societally acceptable for you to be a gay man than to be straight?
Not societally acceptable, but like my understanding of objectification and my understanding of like feminism in general made it very hard for me to get out of my own brain when I was interested in women.
Because you were coming to terms with, well, now I have a level of power in a relationship that was not there before.
Correct. I was also sort of not allowed, but like able to be interested in men in a way that I hadn't before just because of the overwhelming dysphoria from not being on T.
Yeah, it kind of opened that up for you.
Yeah, the combination of those two things made me really interested in guys for a little bit, and now I'm sort of still not all that interested. Although I'm also not all that interested in girls at the moment either.
Anyway, I do need to go. I have to pee, so this is going to be my first pee in the piss jug. I'll send y'all an update.
Next episode, I want to know how many milliliters you made it.
Maybe I should get people in our improv group chat to bet on how many milliliters I can fill up today. You know, like people can place bets, like they're betting on like the ponies, you know, but it's my piss. Okay, are you ready for shout-outs? Shout out to Esperanto.
No.
I'm doing my shout-outs, so you are not allowed to say no, okay? Shout out to BPL. Neither of us is there, but I feel like they've done a lot for this podcast. Shout out to everyone I know who every time I bring up the podcast asks me where they can listen to it, and then I have to tell them that they can't because it hasn't been published yet. Shout out to Michelle Wu.
That's an official endorsement, by the way.
Yeah, you know what? I stand by that. I'm not going to speak for you. I am endorsing Michelle Wu, even though I don't live in Boston proper anymore. And by the time this airs, the election will be over. So I guess it doesn't matter.
Yes, I'm also endorsing Michelle Wu.
Good to know there's a strong grassroots movement for Michelle Wu over there. And finally, I would like to shout out to Beth Israel Rheumatology Department for winning the award for the most racism I have experienced in a single event in a long time. All right. Do you want to do any shout outs?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out the person at the department store this morning who was really nice to me when I was like, I can't figure out how to get the knife off the hook. And she was like, you absolute dumbass. I have to disable the thing for you.
Oh my God.
But she was very nice about it. Shout out to her.
Aww.
Shout out to us for not having published any episodes, even though I have like 4 edited and ready to go. And anti-shout out to my landlord.
Okay, anti-shout out to all landlords if that wasn't clear. Like, if you're to this point in this podcast, like, you should know, fuck all landlords. Now we have beef with landlords, the Catholic Church, that other guy whose name I forgot, and John, his roommate, who I fucked. Bye, everyone!
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Good Sports Podcast. I've been Hayes.
And I've been Em, and this has continued to not be a sports podcast. Remember to follow us on Tumblr at goodsportspodcast.tumblr.com.
Our asks are open, so drop your opinions and you may be featured on a future episode.
Our podcast art was done by Ellis. You can follow them on Instagram at digitalfuture.cat.
Love us, hate us, let us know by leaving a review and rating us 5 stars on your podcast app of choice.
And remember to always be a good sport.